Okay, so there's nothing on any of these projects in the P&L by project, but I'm going to leave this tab up here because we're going to be monitoring the results of that. So let's start with creating some expenses for the first project. So I'm going to go into expense. Let's go to Home Depot. I'm going to pick my materials item. Okay, I'm going to pick my first material item here. Now this material item, I'm sending that to project cost, to the P&L. Right, so that should make sense. Okay, and then we are going to use, this is going to be our traditional accrual method project. So let's say this is 2,500. Click on save, close that. I'm going to create a bill. Let's do for contractor. I'm going to pick my item, which is called materials. And let's say that's 7,500. Project is going to be project 1. Save. Go to my profit and loss, click on run report. Now project 1 has $10,000 in direct cost. Okay, nothing special so far. Everything is going in there. Now those items shouldn't be going to direct labor. Obviously, the items are pointing to the wrong account. So at that point, I'm just gonna. I was messing with the accounts that they're pointing to. We can just fix it. Not a big deal. So let's go into that materials item and make sure that the expenses go to direct project costs into materials. And we'll click on the little checkbox so it updates. Click on save and close. And go back to profit and loss. Run, that's going into materials. But one of them wasn't materials, one of them was subcontractor labor, right? So let's go back here. Let's make sure our subcontractor labor item is pointing to direct labor, direct job labor, or actually I may have a separate account for that right here, subcontractor costs. So I have my separate account for that, and then I click on save and close. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to go real quick to that bill from trade contractors and make sure I pick the right item, right? I pick materials. Obviously that's wrong. So let me pick sub labor. And that was 7,500, I believe. Save. So we go back to a P&L by job, run report. Again, traditional accrual method, right? I have an expense that I paid for. I have a bill that I haven't paid for. Both costs are showing in my profit and loss. Now for this project, let's go create an estimate. For this project, say project 1, I'm going to do, I'm going to select, I'm going to create a new bundle because I don't want to show my client the details. And I'm going to call this project. Just going to call it project. And then in here, I'm going to choose all of them. So I'm going to do labor, materials, sub labor, and let's do overhead. Save and close. So I created a bundle called project. I have all my items in there. Hopefully the items are pointing to the right P&L account. If they don't, we can fix them. And then in here, I'm going to put what I'm going to charge. Okay, so always put what I'm going to charge in this case. So let's say for labor, for internal labor, I plan to charge 5,000. For materials, I plan to charge 12,000. For subcontracted labor, I plan to charge 8,000. And for overhead, I plan to charge 2,000. So this is a $27,000 project. The nice thing about having the bundle is I can put here in the description, I can just put here total project cost lump sum. Okay, and then click on save. Then when I go do a print preview and show it, there it is, 27,000. Total project cost, all the internals on how we got there, that's not even being discussed in this document, right? Just a regular, straightforward estimate with the total amount of 27,000. Now, maybe in the estimate, I can also put the payment schedule. So I can put here, remember, payment schedule is not the same thing as how we recognize revenue. But I'm going to put here payment schedule. Let's say 50% to start, 25% by February 28th, 2021, and 25% upon completion. Now, the type of accounting method doesn't matter. This is just how we get paid. This is us telling our clients, this is how we expect to get paid. So I'm going to click on save. Okay. I'm going to go back into my profit and loss, run the report. There should be no changes, nothing on the income side. Now I want to invoice the project. I want to start the project, right? Because it was 50% to start. I can go to create invoice. I could do in this case a progress invoice. Let's do the 50% create invoice. And what's cool about the project invoice is this will break down all the items internally. Now, generally speaking, most people get confused because they haven't done 50% of the labor, or they haven't done 50% of the materials, or they haven't, right? So all these things can cause some confusion because you are charging $13,500 for the project to start, which is 50% of the whole amount, but these things don't break down as they are. So that could cause some really, really big confusion. So you actually have the ability to manually override any of these if you want to. Like if you wanted to calculate internally, look, that 13,500, it's more or less, just to say, more or less all of the materials, right? So you can just override that one to 12,000 and 1,500 of the internal labor. And for these, I'm going to put 0 and 0. So you can still charge the same 13,500, but you're overriding how you're breaking them down internally. Okay. So, and the way you break them down internally is how they show up in the P&L. So because labor points to one type of income account, material to another type of income account, we'll look into that. They could go to different places in your P&L. So you can manually override how you want to break that down internally without affecting the client. So if I go to print preview to the invoice, go back and look at that invoice, do a print preview. All the customer is going to see is the 50% that we're charging now, which is the project start payment. But internally, we have all these sort of moving parts happening. So that's actually a pretty interesting part of progress invoicing. So let me close that. Let me go back to my P&L. I'm going to click on run report, and everything is going into that income account, the 13,500. So this is a traditional accrual method, right? Straightforward accrual method. We created the invoice, it's income. We created the bill, is a cost. Only thing I'll double check here is I'll make sure that items go to the right place. So if I have a sub account under income for labor, I want to make sure I select the right sub account. Let's say for materials, I don't want to use the generic one. I want to have one that says materials income, and do that and click on save and close. And yes, this chart of accounts is available in the Teachable portal. You can download my chart of accounts exactly as you're seeing it here. You can download it and import it into any QuickBooks Online file. Let's go back to the P&L, run the report, and now you see the breakdown. So we charged upfront $12,000 of the materials and $1,500 worth of the income. Now this is very off, right? Because what we spent is not the same thing that we charge. Again, we're doing traditional accrual and we're manually choosing how to break down that previously agreed upon contractual payment. So this would be a traditional accrual. And what's nice about this is if I change this to cash, it would only show me what actually has been paid. Okay. So those bills that haven't been paid will not show on the cash method when I change it to cash. So that's simple, easy peasy, traditional accrual. That's what happens. Nothing goes into the balance sheet. Let's go to the next one. Let's do an estimate. And let's do the next project number 2, which is the completed contract method. Okay. The way we invoice it, the way we estimate it, again, you can do time and billing with a markup. You can do lump sum, however you want to. Let's say that for this one, again, just for the heck of it, this one we're going to use time and billing for invoicing, but not necessarily for revenue. Doesn't affect revenue recognition, right? So we're going to come in here and put, we're going to go into, so this is complete a contract method. Everything goes into the liability account. So I have the same items here in the bottom. These are pointing to the liability account. So I'm going to do, let's do labor. And let's say that this is going to be, now this is cost, right? This is cost. So I'm going to put here labor cost. I'm going to put here, let's say 80 hours times $25 an hour each. And then I'm going to do materials, and with materials cost. And let's say that's going to be $8,000. And then we're going to put here overhead. This is what we're going to charge. Okay. Overhead markup. That's what we're charging. That's what the client is going to pay us for. Our portion of the job. Let's say that we're going to do a 30% markup. So we take the actual cost, put it on the rate. So I'm going to put there 10,000. And then on the rate, I'm going to put here 0.30. So I'm going to put at 30%. I'm going to do save and do a print preview. So you can see what that looks like. And it looks like this. Labor costs, material costs, overhead. Okay. You can also insert a line here and insert a subtotal. So we're going to call this, there's a subtotal there. Click on save, print preview. Okay. I'm not a big fan of the subtotal just because it's not italic or bold or separated, or it's basically on the same line. So it's just confusing. It sounds like it looks like you're going to add all these things together. So you can do the subtotal. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the subtotal. You can do that. Generally, if you're going to do a subtotal, I would insert a blank line between them. And then I'm going to print preview again so you can see what the difference is. Okay. So that might look a little bit cleaner if we do it like this. What I like about this method is it shows very clearly how we calculate our markup. And on the rate, that's pretty much our cost. Okay. So that's how we chose to do our invoicing for our clients. Even though this is complete a contract method, you could do complete a contract method with lump sum. I just don't want to confuse that how we invoice, not necessarily the same thing on how we are going to do the completed how we're going to do our revenue recognition. Now I'm going to usually put here payment schedule. I create an item called payment schedule. I don't put any dollar amounts to it. And then I put here the instructions. So I can put here 30% to start, 50% upon permitting, and 20% 30 days post completion, right? Again, this is all based on your contractual agreement with your client. So we're just typing it in there so we know. So we're being guided through the process when we go invoice them. So that we can do that there and see what that looks like. Okay, that's in there. What some people do also is they'll put here the dollar amounts. So they'll put here equals. So let me just double check here real quick. 0.30 of 13,000 is 3,900. Okay, and I'll do. Sorry, I deleted the wrong line. Okay, so there's 3,900, and then let's say 50% of that. So I do 0.50, and I'm just taking advantage of this line to have a quick calculator there. So 6,500. And then the last one, which will be 0.20, be 2,600. So sometimes this could be a good solution. And then we put here 01/15/2021. And then we can put here estimated. I was just estimating. So put estimated 3/10/2021. And then we put here estimated 4/9/2021. So you can do that as well. Again, I'm giving you all the different options, all the different ways I've seen my construction clients ask about how to organize this stuff. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and invoice this. I'm going to click on create invoice. I'm going to do the first 30%. Let's say that's 1/15/21. And then I'll delete from the payment schedule the one that we're doing now. I'm going to change it to upcoming payments. Okay. I'm going to click on save. And I'm going to do print preview. So right here, you see the 3,900, how is it broken down? It's broken down by the percentage of the total amount that the original estimate represented our costs were going to be based on that percentage that we're working with, which is 30% of the 80 hours in this case, and 30% of the 8,000. So it's all broken down here. You get your markup, your portion. Very, very clear, very easy to see. So I'll go ahead and close that and then click on save. I'm going to go to my P&L by customer. I'm going to click on refresh. Before I click on refresh, let me ask you a question. Make sure you're paying attention. Are you expecting to see, we're doing completed contract method. What are you expecting to see in the P&L once I click on run report? What are you expecting to see? We've only done the estimate. We've only done the invoicing. We haven't done any expenses. What are you expecting to see? Well, if you thought nothing, the answer is correct. So I'm going to click on run report and it shows up like there's a column for it. Okay, but there's no numbers. So it's a column for it. It's recognizing that it's a real job. It's happening. Things are happening, but there's 0 on this side. 0 on this one. Why is that? It's because the project isn't completed yet. So that being said, let's take a look at the balance sheet. So let's go into the balance sheet. Let's go to reports. Let's go to balance sheet. Let's go to construction in progress. And let's group this by customer or project. And then for project number 1, there is my 3,900 sitting in my balance sheet. In addition to that, all expenses, all costs related to this project should also be in the balance sheet. Okay, so let's run an expense. Let's say we're going to have a subcontractor. And we'll put here, oh, there's the bill. I said, make it go add there. So I'm going to go ahead and create the bill. Pay this. Well, in this case, this is paying the bill, right? Let's leave that. Let me create another bill for it. Let me go to expense. Let me go to trade contractor. Let's go to sub labor. And let's do an additional, we already did 7,500. Let's do an additional 1,500 for this project 2. Let's do save. Okay. And let's now get some materials. Let's do Home Depot. And let's say we're going to spend 7,900 in materials. Let's go to project 2 and do save. And let's say that's it. This is it. This is all of our costs related to this project. So we go back into our balance sheet account. Let's run the report. And now we see exactly what's going on. We've invoiced 3,900 so far, and we have 1,500 only. Let's see why 1,500 only. Where's the big amount? Where's my Home Depot? Did I select the right project? Oh, sorry. I picked the item that goes into the P&L. Because I have two sets of items. So this item goes to the P&L. So it's the second item. So I'm going to go into materials, click on save, and then go back into my report, balance sheet. Let's go in here, construction in progress. Let's do it by customer. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is where we are here. We have what we have invoiced so far, which is $2,500 worth of the material. Let me see. Have I only invoiced 2,400? I've invoiced 3,900. What I might need to check is if this item is going to the right account. So let's do that. It should anyway, because that's supposed to be here. Do it by customer again. So we have a revenue. Oh no, we're good. So we have a revenue which is 900, 630, 2,400, which is the 3,900. We have our cost, which is this 1,500, and then we have our Home Depot one, which I took a dollar amount for some reason. Let's put $7,900 again. Click on save. Let's go back into that report. Now it's showing up in here. Let's do it by customer. Okay, there we go. So there's my cost and what I have invoiced so far. Let's say I'm going to go through and finish all of my invoicing for this, right? That's it. I'm done with my costs. I'm going to finish my invoicing for this. So let me go to project 2. Right here, project 2. No, that was project 1. This is project 2. Okay, let's do the invoice for the 50%. Let's do the next one, the 50. Okay, let's say this happened on March 1st. And usually when I invoice it, I remove the ones that we've done so far. Put here, upcoming payment. See what this looks like? Okay, this is the 50% for the second condition. We're good to go there. Let's go back into our report. Break this down by customer again, run report. Okay, that's how we are with this project so far. So far, this is a $1,000 cash flow positive project. Let's go into back into our estimates. Go back into my estimate, and then let me invoice the rest. Create invoice, and the rest is the other 20%. And then we'll put today's date on that. Put here, this is the final payment. We'll look at what that looks like real quick. Okay, perfect. Okay, go back into this report. We'll break it down by customer. Okay, now this is a cash flow positive, $3,600. Again, assuming the invoices have been paid. Cash flow positive, $3,600 project. I'm gonna add another expense to that as well, just kind of see maybe some extraordinary expense we were not expecting. We had to buy some additional materials, let's say. Let's do materials. To the project number 2. Save. Go back in here. Click run report again. Okay, that's in there now. Now this one is at $3,400 cash flow, net cash flow, positive job. Now, these reports are going to be very different than, let's say, the income by customer report. So there's an income by customer summary. Great report. Great report to have. Just unfortunately, is not very friendly towards completed contract method reports, because this only shows up accounts that are in the balance sheet. Sorry, this ignores accounts that are in the balance sheet. So it works great for the traditional accrual type of project, which is this project 1. Okay, let me delete this one that's in here just so we can avoid some confusion on this other one. That way we're just looking specifically at the projects that we've been dealing with. So let's go back into that. Income by. Okay, there you go. So for a traditional accrual project, it works great. Additional accrual accounting, income by customer summary works great. For completed contract method, it's not great at all. That's the problem, right? That we have. We sort of are stuck here. This is where the custom summary report becomes very useful. Okay, I did copy and paste this in the chat box for the live people watching the live Zoom. If you're watching the recording afterwards, just look at the URL. You just have to type it in there. So here you can do something similar a little bit. We can do it by by customer, and then do it by product or service. Click on run report, and then we go into customize, click on filter, and then under distribution account, we'll select our construction in progress account, click on run report, and we do get something similar. The difference is you sort of get you get a profitability by item. So for example, right, in the overhead side, I didn't have any overhead costs. I made $3,000 in overhead. In subcontractor, I actually lost $1,500. In materials, I lost $8,900. In labor, I gained a positive $2,000. So it's a really interesting way. Like if you wanted to know your profitability by item, it's a very common situation. So profitability by item, this is the report that you would do. So profitability by item by project. Okay. If you wanted to know sort of this money coming in, money coming out, just two simple columns. What you do here it says display columns by. You're gonna pick balance sheet. Trust me, I know this is horrible. You're gonna pick balance sheet, click on run report, and then you're gonna export this guy to Excel, because you're gonna have this crazy amount of accounts. You could sort of do it like this if you don't care about all the total weird accounts that have to scroll left and right. But what you could is you could just scroll to the right here, or export to Excel and clean it up, and you can just get to the two sub accounts of the construction in progress account, deposit draws and direct costs. So you have it right here. It's very, very clear here. $13,000 coming in, $9,589 coming out. Why this is even relevant? Because we are using completed contract method. That's the complicated part about it. We're using completed contract method. QuickBooks is not designed to manage it. So how are we going to get the report of what's going on with this project? This is the closest thing to it. Okay, so let's now recognize the revenue and the cost for this project. Okay, so these are the two numbers that we're looking at, 9,589 and 13,000. So when it comes time to recognize it, again, let me run a P&L by job, profit and loss by customer or project. Let's only show project 1. or project 2, sorry. Project 2. Okay, which is showing nothing, right? Nothing's being recognized in my P&L for this project. But what should be recognized now that the job has been completed, 13,000 of income and then 9,589 in cost. So what we do, the last piece here is just a journal entry. So you do a journal entry, and let's say this is the day that we're recognizing it. We're gonna go from, do our WIP, direct costs. We're gonna credit that 9,589.90. And then we're gonna go into, this will be into sales, right? Or into income. And then we're gonna do the deposit or draws, which is 13,000. The other way, actually. We debit it, and then we go into our, whoops, this is not income, this is cost. This will be my direct cost. And then this will be my income. 13,000. So the 9,000 gets taken out of the WIP account and it gets put into cost. The 13,000 gets taken out of our deposit draws, construction in progress liability account, and gets put into income. Let's click on save. And then make sure I put the project name across all of these. The last piece is extremely important. If you don't do that, whole system goes down. So I'll do CCM project 1. So this entry basically means I'm ready to recognize the income on this job. Click on save, close that, go back to my P&L for this job, run the report. Now it's recognizing the revenue. Pretty simple stuff, pretty straightforward. And then I'm going to go back to my balance sheet. And I'm going to open up this account in detail. And then I'm going to go to a group by. I'm going to do customer. And we'll go down to project 2. Project 2 should be zeroed out. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my a special report I was doing here, which is the custom summary report. And we're going to do this again. We're going to do columns is going to be total, rows is going to be customers, filter will be construction in progress account. Okay. So what this version of the report is, this is the same custom summary report I've been talking about. This one will basically tell me which of these projects have money still left in that WIP account, in that construction in progress account. So all my CCM projects should have a 0 at the end once a project is completed. Okay. Are there any questions right now before we go to percentage of completion? Any questions?